Hi, today we're going to make a very simple recipe. We're going to make a cake recipe today, but we're going to do some chocolate muffins. So it's very simple ingredients. I'll run through it and then if you can follow along. And some of the ingredients will be coming out to you in bags. It's quite difficult to get some of the ingredients at the moment because of lockdown. So there's a bit of a mad dash on for flour. Okay, so in this recipe we're only going to make 6 muffins in this recipe, but if you need to make more, obviously just increase your quantities. So we're going to have 125 grams of flour. So we're going to add 125 grams of flour. Hopefully the sound should be a bit better because I've got a little mic today. So we're going to have 125 grams of plain flour. So you don't want to use self-raising flour on this. I might use a little spoon. So we need 125. Now if you're a little bit over, it doesn't really matter. You just make a little bit more mixture. Okay, now to that we're going to add 25 grams of cocoa powder. Now you actually need quite a lot of cocoa powder for 25 grams because it's quite light. Okay, so when you've got that, what you're going to do is you're going to sieve that into a mixing bowl. So now the flour I bought was actually ready sieved, which I didn't even know you could get. So we're going to sieve that into a mixing bowl. Okay, and then you're going to add a teaspoon of baking powder. Okay, now amazingly you can buy little sachets of baking powder which are a teaspoon. So I'm just going to add 1 sachet of baking powder into my bowl. So we've got our flour, our cocoa powder and our baking powder into the bowl. Okay, and then all we're going to do, shut that over here, all we're going to do is mix that with a spoon, just get it mixed up. Okay, so we've got our flour, our cocoa powder and our baking powder. Okay, and we're using just plain flour here, not self-raising. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to add 60 grams of caster sugar. So we've got 60 grams of caster sugar. There we go, 60 grams of caster sugar, and we just plop it in. Okay, and then we're going to put an egg into there. One large egg. If the eggs are quite small, we can use 2 small eggs. So we're going to put a large egg in there. And then we need some milk, which obviously I've forgotten to get out of the fridge. So now it's better if you use whole milk, so the blue top milk. But if you haven't got blue top milk, use the green top. So we're going to use 100 mils of milk. Okay, so we plop that one in. 100 mils of milk. And then we need to add a little bit of oil, just a couple of teaspoons of oil. And you just want to use vegetable oil. Don't use olive oil for this. So we're going to add a teaspoon of oil. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to mix that. We're going to mix it before we put the chocolate chips in. So it's going to give it a little whisk. This is going to be quite noisy. Okay, and what you'll see, it'll start to happen, is it'll all start to come together as a lovely gooey mixture. Okay, now if you haven't got a mixer, if you haven't got a whisk, you could use a spoon, and it will give you quite a workout as well. But if you haven't got a mixer, it doesn't matter because you're not going to get air in it, you just want to mix it all up. So you could use a big spoon or you could use a wooden spoon. So it doesn't matter if you haven't got an electric whisk. This was from Lidl and I think it was about £6. So they're quite cheap things to buy. But if you haven't got one, you can just use a big spoon. Okay, and then we're going to add 50 grams of chocolate chips. Now these bags are 100 grams, so we're just going to add half a bag of chocolate chips into the mixture. Okay. And then a final whisk just to get those mixed up. There we go. Now I've been making these all day and I have 2 children who have been licking these little things, which I think is perfectly fine, especially when you're making cakes. Now, if you wanted to add some blueberries, you could put blueberries in there. You could put some raisins. You could put whatever you like in there. But then that's your mixture done. Okay. Now, this is still a bit warm from my first batch. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, this makes 6 muffins. Okay. Now, this is the bit where, if you're really messy, like me, this is where you're going to make a huge mess. But that's totally fine. And unfortunately, it's chocolate, so that's good. Okay, so we're going to put 6 cases in here. Now, if you haven't got one of these trays with little sort of dents in them, you can put it on a flat tray. But what happens is the muffin tends to splodge out a little bit, or you can use 2 muffin cases to try and hold it in. But this just stops it from splodging out all over the place. Okay, and then all you're going to do, using a big spoon, is scoop up some of the mixture and just put it into these cases. Okay, now you've got to fill them up quite a bit. I'll show you in a minute with the camera. So you put quite a bit of mixture in, and you just got to go for it. Okay, so if you've got a bit of a shaky hand, I've got a bit of a shaky hand. If you've got a bit of a shaky hand, you've just got to go for it. If you make a bit of a mess, it doesn't matter. It's only chocolate mixture. So this is a really good one to get your kids doing. See, look, mixture everywhere. My daughter was licking the bowl earlier on, which is probably not the most hygienic thing to do. But she was licking the bowl. Kids do tend to love chocolate. So you get your mixture in, fill up these cases. They've got to be as equal as possible. You'll see all the little chocolate chips in here. Now these chocolate chips, they will hold together whilst you're cooking them, which is quite good. So when the muffins come out, the chocolate chips will be inside and they'll burst. Now I have overfilled one in my haste. So scrape the mixture around, I want it all out, put some more mixture in there. I think I'm going to have to steal a bit of this mixture from this one. Okay, perfect. Now the oil in here, it kind of gives it a bit of an oily texture, but that's what you want because you want it to be quite gooey after they've cooked. Okay, so we'll fill those up. Okay, so you can see you need to fill them quite high. So, and then what you're going to do is you're going to put those in the oven, which you've already turned on at 180 degrees, and they're going to take about 20 minutes to cook. So we're going to put them in the oven at 180 degrees. They're going to take about 20 minutes to cook. And if you've got a little prodder, this is a little prodder, or a little spike or a little wooden stick, what you want to do is put these inside the cake, and I'll show you one which I had here. So these are cakes which I was cooking earlier. If you put them inside your cake whilst it's in the oven, and if it comes out and it's clear and there's no chocolate on it, you know that it's cooked. Okay, now I'm going to put one of these on a plate and chop it in half and show you what they look like. Now, I couldn't get any icing sugar because of the lockdown. There was no icing sugar in the supermarket. But if you've got some icing sugar, you can sprinkle some on top. If you've got little kids, you could put chocolate icing. You could go absolutely to town decorating these cakes. You could put white icing on the top. So I'm going to cut him open. And as you can see, this is a really lovely gooey muffin. The chocolate's just melted inside. Really quite delicious. So that is how you make cakes, chocolate muffins. Really simple. Simple ingredients. Here's the sheet to follow. As you can see, it's completely covered in scribbles and bits of cake juice. Have lots of fun baking. This is a really good one to get your kids involved and to do some baking together. And hopefully you're enjoying it. And next week we're going to do a slightly different savoury dish, and then we're going to do some scones after that. And thank you for the really positive feedback. It's really good. And if you check on the website, you'll see it on the website. Brilliant. Have a good day.